I am now 43 years old and I have 3 kids, and I feel like I'm in good shape and I feel good and I feel healthy and I feel energetic. And I really think it's that not having that all or nothing mindset that's helped me to maintain my progress over the years, because I have never felt restricted. And so that is one of the biggest things that I share with my clients, is that mindset transformation. Hey, this is Lisa Nelson with Transform Nutrition and Wellness Consulting, and I am your host for Fuel Your Finish podcast. And I'm so excited you're here joining me today. And we are talking about all or nothing thinking and how that is destroying your progress. Okay, so whether you are trying to lose a lot of pounds, whether you are trying to fine tune your performance so that you can meet your next PR by getting your nutrition optimum, either way, when you are focusing on perfection, that is killing your progress. Okay. If you're new to my content, I am a registered dietitian, owner of Transform Nutrition and Wellness Consulting, where I've helped hundreds of clients reach their nutrition and wellness goals, lose weight and keep it off, also get to their PRs by improving their nutrition and fueling and hydration during their runs and rides. And one of the things that I see so often hinders people's progress is all or nothing thinking. And so that is really what I want to talk about today, because I think it is such an important topic. Even if you think you're not stuck in this right now, I bet that there are times when you battle this all or nothing thinking mindset, especially because if you are someone who tends to put a lot into their training or tends to put a lot into reaching a goal, it is very frustrating when you can't do it perfectly. So I can totally relate to that. I have a little story about a client of mine that I'm working with right now. We had been meeting together for about 7 weeks, and normally when I meet with my clients, we meet about every other week. And this client, we kept meeting together, and she kept saying, I'm not doing it perfectly. I don't think I'm making any progress. I'm not logging all my meals. I'm not getting all my workouts in. But I am making more mindful choices. I am logging some of my meals. I am making better choices out on the go. I am getting some workouts in. And this client then said, and I've lost 7 pounds over 7 weeks. Okay, and to me, that's a huge win. This client also said that normally she would be gaining weight at this point based on past, weight loss attempts or, healthy eating attempts. And I think it is so, so important to recognize and celebrate our progress, and also realize that she wasn't doing it perfectly and she was still having a great result. Yeah, maybe she would have had a little bit better result if she was doing it perfectly, but most of the time that's impossible, really, in anything in life. And so specifically with nutrition and fitness, I think we waste a lot of time by trying to be perfect or waiting for the perfect time. Maybe there was a time in your life where you were able to execute all your workouts perfectly for a period of months. Maybe you lost a certain amount of weight, or maybe you hit that PR in the gym or at a race, and you did it by doing everything perfectly, by having all your meals prepped and having a perfect meal plan and a perfect workout schedule. And that is awesome. And you're waiting for that perfect time to come again, but chances are it's not coming again. And part of the reason it's not coming is because there's probably a part of you that doesn't want it to. Probably a part of you that keeps putting it off, because although you can do it because you've done it before, it was probably not that fun at the time. And so I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I accomplished my nutrition and wellness goals. I'm always working on more goals with my performance, with running. I'm always working on more goals with, just my health in general, and just, it's always self-improvement in every area, right? And so what I want to tell you is that about 20 years ago, I had this realization that I didn't want to get fit. I wanted to be fit. And that might sound like the same thing, but what I realized was I was tired of the process of restricting, and tired of the process of, having to work so hard and, maybe run every day, where, at this point in my life, I realized I just wanted the process to be enjoyable. And so what that looked like for me, I was headed out on a run. I was about 24 at the time. I was studying for my dietetic internship, and I was headed out on a run, and I was going out on said run because the scale was creeping up, summertime was coming, and I knew it was time to start to think about my health again. in those early 20s, late teens, oftentimes there's a dance or a wedding, in the 20s, things like that, where you're working towards a goal or maybe a big vacation, whatever. Anyway, long story short, I didn't have anything that I was working towards. I didn't have any big goal. It was just, I don't really want to be like this. I actually want to be healthy, and I want to feel good and have energy, and I want to look good and, have my best energy. So when I was out on my run, I was thinking through this, and I was like, well, I don't really want to run every day, and I don't really have time to exercise every single day. And maybe at the time, actually, I didn't actually like to run. It was more of just a means to an end. Now, if you know me, that's one of my favorite things to do. But it wasn't always that way. I actually didn't like running at all. And it was more of just something I did to be healthy. And so I was kind of working through this thought process. And I thought, what if I could just be fit? What if it just became who I am? And instead of it being this torturous process where I have to do it, 7 days a week, for 5 hours or something, what if I could just go 30 minutes 4 days a week? So that's what I committed myself to. I thought I wanted the goal to be something that I could stick to even when life got crazy. If I was moving, or if I was changing jobs, going on vacation, if I got sick. I'm not going to be sick probably for weeks at a time, so maybe a part of a week, and then I have the other part of the week to get my goal in. And so I set this goal to run 4 days a week for 30 minutes, no matter what. And I stuck to it. And through the process, I actually fell in love with running over the course of a few years. And now it's one of my favorite things to do, like I said before. But also, when I was out there on that run thinking through this process, I thought, well, okay, I should also try to eat relatively healthy, because I know that's part of the equation. And I was studying to be a dietitian at the time. And so I thought through this a little bit, and I thought, well, I don't want to give up everything. I live in New Orleans. I want to enjoy food. That's one of my favorite pastimes, is eating food, right? And going out to a nice restaurant or doing a social event with food, right? And so many reasons why I didn't want to have to limit that or restrict that. And so I thought, okay, what am I willing to give up? Because we don't have to give up everything. And I think that's often what we think. We have to give up everything in order to reach a goal. Even, especially if we're trying to lose weight, but also, I work with athletes who think, well, I have to give up everything. It's really the sum of the whole. It's really like 80% of the time we're choosing good, healthy foods, and we're fueling our bodies right and well. And then, we need to leave room for treats and things that we enjoy. We don't have to do it perfectly. And, if we're fueling for performance, yes, our run is going to be better if we do it right. But do we have to do it right every single time? No, because that's just impossible. Sometimes you have something going on the night before a run, or, the morning before a run. So think through, what you want your overall goal to be, and what you're willing to give up, what you're not willing to give up. I am not willing to give up dessert, and I never have been. I read this article when I was probably in junior high or high school when I read this article, but it was about this woman was writing about her eating habits, and she was some sort of celebrity or model or something like that. And she said, I eat healthy 80% of the time, salads, soups, sandwiches, lean meats, proteins, whatever, whole grains. And I always have a big brownie every single day, or some sort of dessert. And I thought, well, I could live with that. I like healthy food, but I really like brownies too. And so that kind of stuck with me. And just that idea of like, we should include things we enjoy. And I have always included dessert. And I plan to always do that. I might not have potato chips every day because I don't really care about potato chips. But if there's something that I really want, like I make room for it in my nutrition plan. And I think that's really important to do. I think when we tell ourselves we can't have things, then we're just going to want them more. And so I think it's really important to think about like where you might have that all or nothing mindset. And so I am now 43 years old, and I have 3 kids, and I feel like I'm in good shape, and I feel good, and I feel healthy, and I feel energetic. And, I really think it's that not having that all or nothing mindset that's helped me to maintain my progress over the years, because I have never felt restricted. And so that is one of the biggest things that I share with my clients, is that mindset transformation. And my clients are often saying, this is different than other times because I can still go on the vacation. I can still have butterbeer. One of my clients said butterbeer. I don't know what that is, but anyway, we can still have the treats and the things that we look forward to, and it doesn't have to mess up our progress. And so I just really want you to think about where that might be in your life, in your nutrition or your exercise, that you could kind of just lower the bar just a little bit. Of course, we want to have our goals set high and we want to push ourselves to achieve more and to be healthier, but not so much so that we just resist doing it, because what is the point of that? And think with me for a minute. Where do you want to be in 6 months? Okay. Maybe you have a goal to lose 20 pounds. Maybe you have a goal to qualify for Boston and you know that your nutrition is the limiting factor. Maybe you want to build some muscle. Whatever the goal is, and then think about, is there some certain standard that you've been putting on yourself that you need to meet in order to get there, but you keep putting it off? So instead of putting it off, lower the bar enough so that you can get excited about that goal and stick to it, okay? And that is what I really want to encourage you with. And then secondly, I just want to point out sometimes what also goes along with all or nothing mindset is because we set that bar so high, because we think it's all or nothing, we're waiting until after the holiday. We're waiting until we have a little bit more time because we don't want to be selfish and spend too much time on ourselves. Especially parents, or, if you have a family member that you take care of and you also have a career, right? I just want to remind you that reaching for your own goals and especially your own health is not selfish, okay? This is something that you are going to show up better in your career, in your family, in whatever responsibilities you have when you take care of your health first. And then even if it's just a goal where you want to get a little bit better, that's not selfish, because being healthier is going to help you show up better for everyone around you and for all of your responsibilities. So I just really want to remind you of that and make sure that you're thinking about that. And then what I also want to do is I want to encourage you to make this your healthiest year ever, okay? And I know I said all or nothing thinking, get rid of it. To be your healthiest year ever, it's not about that all or nothing thinking. It's about setting some goals that are attainable and sustainable so that you can move forward and continue to move forward. Even if you start moving forward slowly, you are going to be so much closer to your goal than you would be if you hadn't done that, okay? So I want you to think about, what are those small, consistent steps that you can start today? Is it exercising 3 times a week? Is it 4 times a week? Is it eating more fruits and vegetables? Whatever it is, you need to stop thinking about perfect and stop telling yourself that what you're willing to put forth is not enough, and start with what you can put forth today, okay? Whether it's drinking more water, eating more fruits and vegetables, maybe it's logging your meals. And, lastly, I want to encourage you that you can do it. And investing in yourself is also not selfish, and it's also not weak. So I have used coaches and I have used, different forms of accountability to reach my goals. And I'm so thankful that I've done it. So if you can use support, if you can use accountability, reach out, and I would love to talk to you and help support you in reaching your goals. And lastly, follow along on Instagram. Check out the free workout plan, and you got this.